Do you see this as a particularly big game? There's quite a lot on it, isn't there, with it being the MND Awareness game on the BBC and the state of the table? Are you looking at any of that?
Oh, look, every game's a big game for, especially over the last month. But yeah, look, like each week, is added incentives or emotions around it. The game this week with Rob, Mikolai and Sam playing 200 career games back at home. So there's plenty of reasons why we should want to get ourselves up for it. But I suppose the thing that we're focusing on is just trying to each week improve our performances, and like that we've got a real performance focus at the moment. And I feel like each week we're just adding a bit more to it, and still got a bit to go. But like I said, there's some things that we did really well last week that I want to make sure we get right this week, and we just go to that next level.
Have you spoken about or looked at what happened in round one?
Not really, because I feel like they're better than what they were in round one, and so are we. So, I'd like to think that both teams have improved since then, and like I said, we've focused on our performances from a week to week basis, but we certainly know, and I'm sure it's in the back of the boys' mind, of how well they played against us, and they'll be up for it, and they're playing with a good level of confidence.
What do you think of Wakefield this season? Obviously, they've come up and they've been really competitive. I think they're only 2 points behind you.
Yeah, they have been competitive, and I think they set the standard from that round one game. They showed everyone that they're fair dinkum about the competition. They've been together a while, and you can see that they know each other's game pretty well, and like they understand what the coach wants from them. So they're going well.
Caius Fertilli's got a lot of raps. I think he scored 2 tries in about the last 3 games. Is he someone that's impressed you this year?
Yeah, he's done a good job for him. He's probably a bit slow to get into it when he first got here, but with the more minutes that he's been getting better, and like it's just combinations. It takes time into a new team, but he's found his groove and what works for him in that team.
Your squad's pretty similar to last week. I think there was just one change to the 21. You said after the Cast game that James Bentley would come in and another forward would drop out. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, Bentos is in, and yep, one of the forwards will be out tomorrow, and we're probably very fortunate that our performance guys and medical guys have done a very good job to give us a healthy squad and put us in this position where I can keep everyone honest and on top of their games, and and then also just being able to move the forwards around a little bit. And we still don't know what our best combination or what our best forward pack looks like, but that's what we're all jostling for at the moment. And all the guys are jostling for either a starting spot or a spot on the bench.
It's a really healthy position, isn't it? I think you had sort of 4 or 5 props last week, and they were all they all made an impact.
Yeah, everyone knows exactly what their role is and what their contribution to the team is, and there's been really good spirits around what's best for the team. Like if they'd all would appreciate more minutes or all to start. At the start, well, I didn't have to, but I decided to start Keenan on the bench last week and get some more starting minutes into Cooper, and Cooper done his job, and Keenan, would have preferred to start, but he done what he was asked to do and what was best for the team, and he came off the bench, and it was good for his development as well, just coming off the bench over here and adding a different, playing a different style of football with the intensity out, and he came on and had a real good run mentality early, and then he got some footy on the back of it, so. It's certainly allowed us plenty of flexibility, and it's evened the workload out amongst the forwards.
How far off is Andy Ackers?
After the bye.
And does the fact you've got no game next week, does that affect your approach at all? I suppose it means you can leave everything out there, doesn't it?
Well, that's up to the boys. Yeah, we've talked about it, and they know they've got no football next week, and so that's up to them. They're making sure that they really empty themselves and leave everything out on the field.
And just one last thing about the squad. Matt Frawley, he's obviously hasn't played for a few weeks, but he's been in the 21. He's not in the 21 this time. Should we read anything into that? What's the thinking behind that?
Well, it's just the balance of the squad, mate. Like no point having two halves in that 21 man rotation, so we've got Sydney hit there who can cover 9 as well. So just, and it just gives me the flexibility of having another forward on there. Probably looked at it last week and felt like that I got it wrong, having, 2 halves in that mix of the 21. Just it's a better balance.
Yeah, and I think that the player who's come in, Presley Cassell, he played for the academy last night. How far off is he from a first team appearance?
Well, look, I think Pete, he could play tomorrow. Like he's ready, and that's his next progression. It's just where and how do I get him in? Like none of these guys want to miss out, and none of these guys are giving me a reason to tip him out at the moment. So that's the luxury I've got. But like I said, and I've said this before, I don't have to make any threats because I think they're all just looking around and they know that they've got to be on top of their game and they've got to do their game each week because there's guys there that are missing out and can step up and do it. So that's where it's at with Presley. But at some stage, I'd like to get him out there and give him a taste of it. But yeah, there's plenty of guys doing a good job for me at the minute.
I'll just ask you about Rob Burrow. I was trying to look back through your career. Did your pass cross in the 2010 World Club Challenge? Were you on the staff at the Storm that day?
Yeah, I was. I was running the blue shirt. Yeah, it was a nice cold day. Once I left, said I'm never coming back to England from that point. But yeah, look, I wasn't here last year, but it was when I was getting myself ready to come over, and I remember watching the game, and like the emotion that was involved with it, the support from the crowd, the fans, like it was amazing. I've seen how Brodie Croft spoke after the game and how emotional he got. So look, it's a big week. His family will be here. Like I said, there's plenty of reasons why we should want to get up and play, but I've tried to, as much as I can, take the emotion out of it and make the concentration around our performance and what we need to get out of it. And if we do that, well, then it keeps everyone else happy. Sometimes when you focus too much on the emotion and all the other reasons why, you forget about the main reason, without being disrespectful. But if we can focus on our main job and what we're getting paid to do, if we focus on that, it'll keep a lot of people happy.
There's a few players in the squad still, isn't there? Like Ash and Callum, who obviously played with Rob. Have they spoke about him this week? Have they sort of confronted the group about it?
I haven't spoke too much as a group, but like the guys have got the jersey and they were talking about the jersey today with all the names on it. So they're all having their own conversations and memories, and there's been some nice, special moments amongst the guys. But they're probably more for on a personal level, because a lot of guys, their names are on that jersey that played with him. So I think, that I'm not sure if you guys have had the privilege of seeing the jersey yet, but it's the club's done a really good job with it, and it's I suppose their way of showing their appreciation.
What are your memories of watching Rob as a coach? I mean, he was always touted as one of the players who could potentially have gone and had a crack at the NRL. He never did. What do you remember about watching him yourself?
Oh, just he's a bit of a game breaker. The game sort of be in the balance and there'd be nothing doing, and all of a sudden he'd just come up with a bit of special play, which broke it open, and that's what special players do. And it's that's got nothing to do with coaching. That's just the gift that a lot of those guys have.
It's the halfway mark of the season, or more or less, after this game. Good chance to take stock, especially with a break. How do you assess where you're at, particularly compared to not just when you came in, but the end of when you broke up at the end of last year?
Well, we've done a review after round 10, so I like to try and break it up into 3 parts. So we've done a bit of review after round 10 and seen where we're at. And so we had a discussion about that, and we set a few things that, a few more targets for the next 10 games. But, I'd say that we're getting better with combinations, and it's probably just been at times a little bit of lack of execution, which has let us down, but that'll come with combinations. Crofty and Jake have had 2 full 80-minute games together in a row. We haven't been able to do that, so that'll help. In terms of what we're about and what we're trying to achieve, I think the team's got a really good understanding of who we want to be. And up until right now, and we need to, and it's hard to do it every week, and we need to continue to do it. They've really made the choice about owning their attitude and how they've turned up to the games, which has been really pleasing for me. And I think as any of our fans or supporters and sponsors and members of the club would be happy with that, knowing that they've got a team that wants to come and try and do their best each week. We haven't been at our best each week, like I said, but I think that's more to do with execution, and that's the bit now that we just need to try and tidy up. Is, you know, we've set some good standards and expectations on, you know, how we want to behave and our team identity. Now, can we just get a little bit better with our execution each week?
Yeah, like you say, initially it was about nailing the attitude, the mentality side of it, and the defence, but now it's about building on that good work with your attack. Do you think you've got the attacking players to do that over the course of the second half of the season, especially in the summer conditions we've got coming up?
Yeah, I think so. And the way we've tried to build how we want to play will allow that to happen as well. And, you know, like I said, the two halves in particular haven't had a lot of time together, and Jake's still learning that role of a 7 and being the main man. And then if you have a look at our two centres, you know, like Asher's 10 or 12, 13 games now into playing in the centres. And, you know, like if you just see he's getting better with his class touches each game. Riley's just learning, you know, his positioning play off Ash, and, you know, when he should, you know, be in a position to get the ball off him. So all that just takes a little bit of time, but the good thing about it is, like, the direction is moving forward, and, you know, like, there hasn't been, we're not going backwards, we're moving in the right direction, but it's 13 rounds, there's still 14 games, 15 games to go. There's a long time to go, and we've got a lot of hard work to continue to do, mate.